AITAH for telling my fiancée there will be no wedding if she keeps insisting I invite my parents. So some backstory. My dad left the family and went no contact when I 35M was 4. My mom remarried and had 2 kids with my stepdad. My stepdad never treated me poorly but always made clear that I was Dale fake name to him. He was not my dad. My mom never tried to fix the relationship and honestly loved her new family and always saw me as a burden. That's what I thought at least until it was confirmed after my freshman year of college when my mom asked me not to come home anymore. I blocked her after that phone call and have had no contact with her or my stepdad and half-brother since then. I do still speak to my half-sister 25F at her insistence, but that's my only contact. It took me a long time to deal with basically being kicked out of my family. I grew to be pretty independent and thought I'd live alone until I met my fiancée 28F 4 years ago. We have had a great relationship and her family opened up and invited me in with open arms. She comes from a pretty typical suburban family and they are great. Over the years I've told her about my issues with my family. She has met my sister and she never pushed for more until we started planning the wedding. When we started talking about who we would invite, I talked about friends from college and coworkers and she kept saying I should invite my parents. At first I thought she was just trying to gauge if I wanted to. I said I would not be inviting my parents. She said okay, but then brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they hurt me, how growing up feeling you were unwanted and then having it confirmed at 19 really stunted my mental health. That over the years I have realized it's their problem and if they ever want to solve it, then they can initiate, but I am in contact with my sister and it is clear they are happy insisting I don't exist. It sucks, but it's their problem that they have thrust onto me. I can't be the one to solve it. I thought it had ended, but she has brought it up 2 more times. The last one was last night. We were about to start the save the dates and she said, "Are you sure you don't want to invite you parents? I feel like I might just invite them on my side." And I snapped. I told her we should probably just throw the invitations away because if you can't respect what I've been through, then I don't want to marry you. I then went to our bedroom and fumed for a while. She came in to try to talk to me and I walked out, grabbed my keys and left. I came back around 11 p.m. after hanging with friends and slept on the couch. She left for work without a word to me, and I don't know where we stand. Her behavior is unacceptable, but I feel I may have gone too far. What do you all think, AITAH? Update, I'm very overwhelmed by the response. So many thoughtful responses. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond. I thought I would give an update. My fiancée normally gets home around 5:30 p.m., so after I was done working, I work from home. I waited for her to show up. Got very worried when it was 6 and she still wasn't home, but around 6:15 she shows up with my sister, which was a big surprise. While my sister and I connect every Thursday, we live 45 minutes away from each other, so her popping by is not normal. Both of them looked very anxious, so I was very confused. I asked them what was going on and my sister just bursts into tears and saying she's sorry. After like 5 minutes of her losing her shit, she starts talking about the family. So apparently when she told my mom and Dale that I got engaged, it started a rift between them. Not because they cared about me, but about how my half-brother, which is 27, is still living at home, single and with no steady job. If you're thinking, wow, they kicked you out at 19 but let him stay there past when he could rent a car, don't worry, I said it out loud. My mom apparently wants to do the same to my half-brother, but Dale won't let her. So they are currently separated, with my mom living family and refusing to come back until my half-brother is out of the house. For some reason that defies all logic and reason, my sister thinks getting an invite to my wedding will bring the family together, since it was my engagement that caused the rift. At this, I blew up a bit. I told her that my engagement had nothing to do with it, that their shitty parenting and poor relationship skills caused it, and don't put that shit on me. She cried even harder, and this time I was not going to console her. My fiancé is just sitting there the whole time, so while my sister is trying to get herself together, I question my fiancé about this. She also tears up a bit but tells me my sister was telling her about how I always bring up the family on our Thursday, and that deep down I wanted to repair the relationship. I asked how she could believe that when I was very clear that I was no contact with my family and had never mentioned wanting to be in contact. I told her that I tell her everything and would never hold back something like this without talking to her. She's always been my sounding board. When I switched jobs last year, we talked about it every night and her advice mattered more than anyone else. She apologized and then wanted to show me her phone, specifically the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister perks up and asks her not to show the phone conversation. but my fiancé tells her she's trying to save her relationship. My sister has just been straight up lying about our Thursday conversations, saying how I was always talking about reconciling, how I would never admit it but I'm partially at fault too, how I really want to see them all again. Every time I would tell my fiancé no, she would text my sister and my sister would talk about how I just couldn't be open because I was embarrassed. Just completely false. I would be perfectly happy, never seeing any of them again. I can't believe my sister still sees them. At this I tell my half-sister to leave and that Thursdays are canceled. My sister puts up a little bit of a fight, but I ignore her until she leaves. She keeps saying sorry over and over again, but honestly I'm done with her. I've blocked her and will be no contact with her for the time being. A complete betrayal of my feelings and relationships. As for my fiancé and I am still very upset. She went behind my back with my sister. Never asked me about it. Let my sister manipulate her and honestly hurt me. I told her I love her, but my trust is broken. We've agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we can repair the relationship. I hope we can, but I'd say it's a toss-up for me. She's got a lot of work to do. Another update: a lot has happened. I'm just going to try and spill it in order for you all. So after my sister left, I told my fiancé I loved her, but I didn't trust her currently. That I felt she took my sister's side instead of mine. So I continued to sleep on the couch for a couple of nights. She was walking on eggshells around me and I hated it, but I also just wasn't ready to forgive her. Then Friday night, after I hung out with friends, I came home and crashed on the couch. We had had an innocuous conversation, but she did ask me to come to bed, and I told her I just wasn't ready. I woke up to pee at like 3 a.m. and she was sleeping on the floor next to me. I don't know why exactly, but it touched me deeply, and I cried a little bit. It meant so much to know that she wanted to be near me even when I was being unloving. It really turned the tide. I woke up a few hours later and she was making me breakfast. A surprise, as Saturday is usually my big breakfast making day. We sat down to eat and she was keeping the conversation light, still on eggshells. But I decided to tell her a story from my childhood. I told her how Dale used to make breakfast for the family, but never included me. I was older, so I slept in, and when I got up, there was rarely any breakfast left, and if there was, it was in the fridge and no one would eat with me. I told her how much Saturday brunch with us meant to me and how I hadn't really ever talked about it, and that wasn't fair to her. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. She apologized again, but I told her I didn't need it. That I forgave her, and while I still want to do couples therapy, because I think it'll help me express my family issues with her in a healthy way, I'm ready to send out the save the dates. I then asked her to massage my back because the couch was a nightmare to sleep on and she knew I was serious. I don't love people touching me, except my fiancé, and I had really not allowed it since the original incident. I know most of you did not want me to forgive my fiancé, but I love her. And she loves me. She made a huge mistake, but she's never experienced anything like what I went through, and she showed remorse. As for my sister, my mom reached out via a phone number that I didn't recognize and told me I should forgive my sister. I told her to screw off, and she just confirmed my sister really had never had a relationship with me at all, because if she knew me, she would know that contact with my mom would only make the situation worse. I then blocked the number. This happened Thursday evening. She tried to come by Sunday, but my fiancé and I were out. She left a note apologizing and saying she did not ask mom to contact me and she's sorry she did that. My fiancé wants nothing to do with my sister anymore, but left the decision up to me. I told her that she was my family, so if she didn't want her there, she wouldn't be there. A little jab for sure, but she took it well and said she didn't want her there. We have been getting back to normal. It will still take time, and I think I may try individual therapy, because as I was thinking about all the incidents, I'm not so sure the family situation is worse than even I have acknowledged, and it might be time to really deal with it. The save the dates were sent out yesterday and everything is still on. I'm not sure I'll update again, but thank you all for letting me process and vent.